my stick again. Time I do stream, I'll figure it out. Hold on. I do stream. All right. Hey, it's Abby. Hey, Abby, you should join in on the. You should join in on the Discord. Anyway, I'm trying to find a place to put my phone. This should be fine. Okay, and then I think I'm good on everything. I got Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. There's like nobody there. Wait, let me see. Yeah, it's all right. Minimize this. What's up, everybody? Yeah, Zabby's gonna join us. Yay. Yeah. But how was your weekend?
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I forgot it was the weekend. I don't have anything that like requires me to pay attention to days. One thing I've been doing though is analyzing my life. That's pretty deep, but analyzing my life and trying to figure out how to minimize time wasting things, bad habits, because it was easier to make an excuse on days I really didn't feel good, which are like legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
But like even days when I felt good, I was just sitting watching YouTube videos all day for the most part.
Yeah.
Sometimes. So now I'm using the same toggle tracking that I was using. Bless you. Bless you. Jeez. You sneeze like black people. There's always like 6 or 7 sneezes after the first.
Well, I am black.
Yeah.
All right.
Black Twitter would welcome you. That's one of the qualifiers.
Got it.
But anyway, yeah. So, yeah, just trying to be actively focusing on how to make sure I'm being productive with my time. So, I'm pulling like one of the things I'm trying to focus on art-wise is I'm deciding to try to focus in on getting good at environment art, but more specifically like cinematic shots. Just environment design. If I want to get a job, I'm trying to do that first. I find the most enjoyment from it. And one of the things I wanted to get together was a bunch of film stills, like organized reference, so I could study from them. So I've just been pulling them off today, most of them. But yeah, I like gathering reference. I think you know that though. What's up, Zabby? How you doing, bud?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, you're a little quiet.
Oh, really?
Oh, now you're good.
That's a little better.
Okay, better. Nice. Good. Been really busy. Miss you guys. So,
Yeah.
nice being here.
What have you been up to?
I've been interning at Ubisoft for the past like 4 or 5 months. Not sure.
You're working on Assassin's Creed 4? Oh,
No,
busted.
Can't say anything. Can't say anything.
You got him. We got him, guys.
Fired.
With that.
Yeah.
Get me fired.
Send it to
I'm just kidding. Yeah, whenever I would hang out with Rob, I would he works on the WoW team, and I'm like, "How's World of Warcraft 2 coming?" He's like, "Dude, can't talk about anything that I can neither confirm or deny." And then I had another friend who worked at Valve, and I would always say, "Yeah, how's Half-Life 3?" And he's just like, "I can't."
Always trying to get people in trouble, man.
I know.
I got a friend working at Apple. How's that iPhone 11 going?
Pull a Tyrese, remember? Where he was hanging out with Dre. He's like, first billionaire black man or something like that. Like announcing that the Dre's and Apple's deal before it was announced publicly. And they're just like, yeah, we're going to take off. Yeah, that was Tyrese. They're like, yeah, we're going to shave $500 million off of your contract now.
Oh, no. Did that really happen?
Yeah, I think so.
I would order a hitman to just break Tyrese's legs.
Yeah, and then, like, remember how we were talking about how, like, Will Smith, like, gave him like a
specifically was
$5 million?
Don't tell people that I helped you out.
And he's like, yo, my brother helped me out, Will Smith, Fresh Prince Bel-Air, for life, y'all. He didn't want anyone to know, but you know what? Everyone needs to know. And I'm like,
God,
dude.
you're like the worst kind of person.
Dude,
After that.
I know we were talking about him the last stream, and I was just like, I don't really... There comes a point where you just kind of have to start, like, that person needs to be accountable. You know? Like, he's continuously, like, making things worse.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, where do you stand, Zabby, on the Tyrese situation?
You shouldn't talk about it, you know?
NDA. Everything's NDA, man.
NDA.
I work with Tyrese right now at Ubisoft. I can't talk about anything. I can neither confirm or deny.
Yeah, exactly.
What did you have for lunch today, Zabby?
I cannot you might give away too much about the project. So.
I can neither confirm or deny.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's yeah, there was
Get him out of here. This guy's useless.
Okay, I'll leave.
Yeah, but how does it work though?
It's different. I expect it to be a certain way, turn out to be a lot different.
Okay.
But it's pretty exciting, honestly. They're challenging me to do different things. Not sure what's gonna happen after my contract, but trying to do the right things while I'm there. Like,
Right on, dude.
Keep me, stuff like that.
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to talk more about edge control too. Like, how did that go? More about it.
Right. Yeah, our audience doubled, which was pretty amazing.
Duh.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was really good. It was great that Jamaro and John came down too.
That's cool.
We were hanging out, and yeah, overall it was a lot more work than before. Not sure why, although we didn't add extra things, but it felt like a lot more work.
Well, double the people. There's more people to wrangle.
Yeah, but it seemed like everyone had fun, and we're just I think we're already ironed out the coming event. Yeah, it's set up for next year.
Nice, dude.
It's constantly,
Yeah. You were wondering if you can. You went from AJ, like, there needs to be more events down here, to potentially like hosting one of the bigger events for the industry. That's really cool, man.
It's thanks to you guys. We always mention that to everyone, for sure.
What?
You guys, yeah. You, Kalen, and the whole crew from the first time, like, you guys kicked it off real well for us.
All right, don't forget about us when you guys are living in space, edge-controlled space.
If it happens, of course not. But still, we know.
When Ubisoft.
I don't think we can go to space, but.
What? See, you didn't think that it could host in Toronto. See, you're still aiming too low, Zabby. Haven't you learned anything?
Okay, I'm gonna have to go talk to Elon Musk. Can we join your Mars mission? We're gonna host concept art there.
Yeah, 30 years later, we're actually on Mars. Remember that one time we were just joking, and now we're like actually on Mars?
I'll be really old by then. I don't know.
Oh, I posted a thing that my friend he made like this meme, and I took it and I thought it was hilarious, because he's like, if we want to stop the Russians from meddling in our elections, we should put it on the moon, right? And I was like, oh, that's funny, dude. But then like people in the comments just like, I don't think they understand that it's just a joke. There are people like people are like, well, technically, Russia landed. I don't know. I didn't read too much into it because I didn't really care. But I was just like, it's just a joke, man. Like, it's based off of common knowledge. It's not necessarily trying to make us.
And I'm offended.
Yeah, and I get it. Like, I make like political posts from here and there, so that I can see how people would think that it's kind of was my agenda. No, I just thought it was funny, and I was actually more in favor of supporting my friend who's trying to be a comedian, because I thought it was actually like a really good joke. Yeah.
Hold on. At what point are you done trying to be a comedian and you are one?
Oh, shoot.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Tough question.
Yeah, but people can't take jokes, man.
Yeah.
But I get it in the context of the stuff that I normally post, I get why people probably think that I was pushing agendas. At this point, I used to be pretty stickler with the whole Russian stuff, but now I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I'm still focused on the incompetency of our president, just how incompetent he is. I think that's the number one factor that I don't really like. I just don't like the idea that he represents the country, and the people who defend him. I'm just like, you're just deliberately ignoring the things that he said and done. You know, like he says stupid stuff. Right? I didn't like it when Bush was the president, but in the defense of some of that argument, like I also understand that sometimes it's probably better to have like a president that's pretty blunt and idiotic and kind of just f's things up publicly, versus someone who's like sneaky behind closed doors, pushing crazy agendas. Which would have been the argument that people had against Hillary, which I'm starting to think, yeah, I get that, right? And so my answer to that is we should stop having people that are just idiots and super corrupt even like have a chance to be elected. Yeah. Like that should just not be a thing. We should just not have them. Like I don't mind voting for a Republican is what I'm trying to get at. If I feel like the Republican has the stronger message and ideals and policy, Like, at the end of the day, I don't really care. I was just talking with somebody at lunch today. Like, we were talking about gun control a little bit, and I was like, I was already kind of persuaded. Someone persuaded me a little bit to think differently about it. And that was just from us talking. Because at the end of the day, my stance is I just don't want people to die senselessly. And if we can mitigate that, that's all I'm about. The gun control is actually irrelevant. I'm just focusing on what's the most immediate solution, mm-hmm. and most practical one. And that's how I feel about a lot of these problems that are coming up. But some people just won't pay attention, man. It's consistent. I don't know how to solve this problem, which is people don't listen to each other. But I will say that a lot of the people that hold firm on the right ideal, a lot of them stick around. But I've had friends who are on the left side, like unfriend me or stop following me.
Oh, really?
So that's a point to be made. So if you really think that you have strong arguments, then why you backing down, homie? Why are you rolling out, huh? And there's one of them. I wonder if he's watching right now, because he follows me regularly. His name is Ronald Stepp. That's right. Oh, Brett Marchant is one of them. He's another one of them. Nail him. He's one of those people that I remember in the beginning we would argue a lot. Remember, we would argue like aggressively. But I think it came down to a very simple thing, which is I didn't really hate the guy. I just disagreed with him strongly. And I follow his work and he follows mine still. Like, that's possible. It's completely possible to disagree with somebody and still respect the things that they do. Know what I mean? Oh, hey, what's up, Roberto? I was just looking at your stuff today, dude. You've gotten real good, man. It inspired me. I was like, what the? Yeah, I was actually planning on sharing your work for my highlights, probably on Monday. So look out for that. You're getting good, too good. You may have surpassed me. Roberto Padula.
Another one to follow.
Yeah, whatever, Zabby. You haven't surpassed me. Never.
No, I won't in like another 100 years.
What?
Why do you always doubt yourself, Zaddy?
And that's why.
I doubt myself.
His humbleness keeps him down. My arrogance keeps me up.
You gotta shoot for the moon.
You'll never catch me.
Literally. And he's controlling the moon.
I don't know. I just do my thing, If it goes
You're not doing enough.
Somewhere.
You're not doing enough.
More.
I'm sorry. I'll work harder.
Yeah, you gotta work even harder than you're doing now. You gotta work on 17 Assassin's Creeds at the same time. I can neither confirm or deny that we're either working on one or many.
Various
I
Assassin's
can't
Creed
even
properties.
confirm if I'm working on Ubisoft or not.
Oh dang, dude! What was
He
the?
literally confirmed it like as soon as he got here.
What was aren't they working on that? And this is an announced project. I could be wrong. That like pirate game, right? No.
Yeah. Well, I
Oh, you're
don't
right.
know which studio, because like Ubisoft has many of them around the world.
Yeah. What I'm getting at is it a Ubisoft like
Yes,
joint?
they have a pirate game.
No, not the one that was under the Assassin's Creed's.
The Skull and Bones one, right? It's like outside
I
of.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It looks good, man. Looks good.
Yeah, aren't they taking
Beyond Good
the
and Evil
Assassin's
2,
Creed
it's
ship? What?
Wait, hold on. Assassin's Creed what?
Aren't they taking the Assassin's Creed ship mechanics from Black Flag and just making its own game? Isn't that the idea?
I don't know, man.
'Cause apparently that was good. I had never played any of the Assassin's Creeds, but I heard the new one's really good.
I heard it was trash. Now what are you gonna say about that?
I'm gonna say you're entitled to your opinion, bud.
No, not the idea. I'm talking to Zabby. I'm gonna get him
Oh,
fired.
since I work there, I will have to support it. It's actually an amazing game. I tried all of you.
Yeah, whatever.
Paid promotion.
Whatever, sheeple.
I
Whatever.
recommend it to you all.
Yeah.
Support my paycheck.
I haven't played it actually. I don't know. I haven't played an Assassin's Creed game since the first Assassin's Creed game.
Actually, the latest one is the first game I've ever played. During the interview, they're like, "Have you played our games?" And I was about to lie, but I was like, "No, I haven't played your games."
That's good.
Don't lie.
I said that. I don't know how I got the job, but okay.
Because you're good. That's why.
Yeah.
So I love Rayman. That one's good. That's a good game. Rayman Origins. That game's a beaut.
Yeah, dude, classic.
That one's a beaut.
Yeah. Well, being inside, I can see they work really hard at it. So it's good.
Oh, you heard it here, guys. Assassin's Creed Rayman Origin version.
I should really get out of this trip.
This is a trap.
Blacklisted.
This is trap. This is entrapment.
Oh no. You're ending my career, so I never passed you.
Twitch folks, clip it.
Yeah. Are you? Yeah, just clip it right there. Hey, do you know? Are you working with Christian? Which one are you at? You're at
Toronto.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's at that one. I don't know exactly. There's multiple. Because yeah, he's an art director there. So you would have already said yeah if you knew a guy named Christian. So I'm assuming not. And then there's
He goes by Chris.
yeah, maybe.
Does he wear glasses?
Yeah, he's a white dude, tall.
Square glasses, I think.
Yeah, tall dude, white.
I'm not sure how tall, but
How distinctive.
sure. I guess so. Yeah.
Does he? What's his last name? Do you know his last name?
No, I forgot, but I know there was the art director. His name was Chris, and he wears square glasses.
Yeah, I think it's the same one.
I don't know
That
about the height though. Like, I'm not that tall. But I don't know.
stand next to him and be like, "I heard you're tall."
Yeah, I'll test this out tomorrow.
Stand next to him and don't say anything else. Just pull out a ruler and just start measuring yourself next to him, and be like, "Yep, you're tall. Got it." And then just walk away without saying anything. No context, no nothing.
Do you think he'll like me after that?
Absolutely.
I'll
That's
be-
his favorite.
I'll be his favorite. I'll do it.
Wouldn't a better way of going about that to walk up to him and be like, "Hey, what's up? I heard someone call you a pipsqueak. What do you got to say about that?"
Oh,
And then see if he says, "No, I'm tall as shit."
because that's how people.
How does he perceive himself?
Oh, what if I make him sad? Like, what if he's like, he gets a little sad about it and walks away? Then I ruined his day.
No, then you walk away and you say, "Man, I heard you were confident too," and like just walk away disappointed. Just rub it in.
I don't think this will work, but
You should try it. Just try it. That's how it works in the industry, guys. If you guys didn't know, that's exactly the tactics you need to employ. A lot of people just don't employ these tactics. It's just not.
This is the next level thinking. This is how you get a raise.
Yes.
I really think you want to end my career.
Don't take my advice.
Dude, I'm your art dad. You got to take my advice at all costs.
Yes, father. Try it.
Yeah, and then make sure that you talk to him right next to a flight of stairs, so that way you can just push him down them.
Oh my god!
As soon as you've confirmed he's tall, you're like, great. Eat it to Brutus, and then and then you just laugh maniacally as he's tumbling and breaking his ribs and fracturing his skull, and just be like, this place is I'm the art director now. No, wait, like he's like hanging off of like the edge of one of the things. It's like, why? What are you doing this? Long live the king! And then just toss. Well, you don't get that reference because you don't watch movies. Oh shoot!
Well,
what is that from? You should know this one, Mike. Do you not know?
I didn't hear the quote. You were glitching.
So this Chris guy is hanging on the ledge while Zabby's holding him.
Yeah.
And then Chris is like, "Why? Why are you doing this?" And then Zabby looks into his eyes and says, "Long live the king!" And he just tosses him. What is that from? Does anyone else know in the chat? Oh, what the? Dang!
Yay!
You got it. All right. What is this from? Clever girl. What is that?
That's from Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
You watch it. You bought a DVD for me.
Yeah.
It was Blu-ray too. Thank you.
I wasn't gonna say Jurassic Park. Damn.
He's been educating me, like at work. Oh my god, my art director was like making fun of me because I didn't know any of the movies he was mentioning.
Yeah. What art director was it? Chris?
No, I'm currently working with Tim.
Okay. So there's multiple art directors.
Yeah, there's like so many projects, so many art. Oh, actually, no, I can't say anything. It's just.
Yeah, shut your damn.
Got him. Got him.
Nothing else. There's Ubisoft. That's it. Nothing else. I can't say anything. It exists. That's it.
Oh man, Savvy.
Shit. Don't make me talk.
I can feel him sweating through the stream.
I know, right?
Hello, guys. How's everyone doing? There's some peeps in here. Hey, Peter Chan hanging out. And there is Daniel Lee. Chilton. What's up, Chilton? Wish Yang. And then Raimundo Morales. What's up, guys? Oh, you know what? I don't want to draw this. I want to draw something else. I want to draw something crazy. Okay. So, yeah, that's good though. How's Denzel doing? He's also equally naive still.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, we're still the same.
Still same people.
Still same, dude. Just working out. I would like to assume we're working hard. I don't know, like I feel like I'm working harder, but not really, because nothing gets done. Do you get that? No?
Yeah.
You work hard, but nothing gets done.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Yeah, we're the same.
All right. And then what's Denzel working on these days?
Well, we're both currently finishing year 4 college. I think he got a job too, like at a studio in Toronto. It's like they're pretty new, so you wouldn't know about it.
I know all studios.
Do you know Secret Location?
Duh.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's funny. That's cool though. I'm glad. Yeah, like you guys don't hang out with each other anymore, huh? You guys stop being friends. Cool.
We do.
That's sad, but I mean,
we do. We still hang out.
Hey guys, how you going?
Hey, who's this? Who did this? Who this be?
Jaden.
Huh?
Jaden from Australia.
Trident? What?
Jaden from Australia.
Jaden from Australia. How's the kangaroos?
Yeah, it broke down today.
They broke down today?
Yeah, it wasn't jumping enough.
Lost World.
Westworld, they have like everything is built by humans.
I see.
So like their kangaroos are breaking down.
Yeah. What what time is it over there?
It's 1:30 in the afternoon. I'm on my lunch break at work.
Oh, what? Get back to work. What the heck's wrong with you?
I'm on
Oh, you're on lunch break. That's right.
lunch break.
Yeah, don't take breaks. This stream is a no-break stream. Everyone should be working. So pull out a sketchbook or napkin and start drawing. How dare you?
I'm always drawing there.
Alright, that's cool. That's kind of crazy that like he's like at a lunch break at his work and like hanging out and stream while it's like nighttime over here for me.
Yeah.
And then Zabby
Yeah.
is in space. So who knows what's going on there.
I joined the other stream when I was driving the other day, if you remember.
That's right. I do remember. Australia. Crocodile hunter. I'll be hunting.
Crikey.
You call that a
Super
knife?
offensive.
You call that a knife?
This is a knife.
No, this is a knife. Yeah. Is it offensive to like
I don't know.
mock your accent and generalize your whole country and people by a few catchphrases? No.
I think in Australia that Australians would be the minority now because of all the people that have moved here. So we don't really get
Like the
about
natives?
that, really.
Native
Yeah.
Aussies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're not past that here in the States. Everyone gets offended by everything. And so, like, I was just even commenting how I was making a joke, and then people were like, Russia's not bad at space. And I'm like, I don't care. It's just funny. I thought that was funny. It's reflecting back at, like, what you call it, just like an old knowledge. You know, it's not reality. I'm sure there's some other facts and statistics that could prove me wrong, but it's just a joke, dog. But yeah,
Well, if you ever come here for a workshop, I'll hit you with a boomerang, okay?
well, joke's on you. I'll shoot it with my shotgun, my AR-15.
America. America.
Yeah, and then drive in my pickup truck with my 40 kids listening to gangster hip hop country music. So
Do you like George Carlin, Anthony?
yeah, dude. Yeah, the comedian, right?
Or-
There's a bunch of
Yeah,
Carlins,
yeah.
but you're referring to the comedian, correct?
George Carlin, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. What about you? Why did you bring him up?
I don't know. I was just talking about stuff from different countries, so that's probably my favorite thing from the States.
Just an old comedian. Well, what do you have in mind, guys? Zabby, you too. You can be included in this conversation. When you think America, like especially before this before 2017, like before there was any of this drama.
I was about to say Trump, but
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, not anymore. Like, don't think of that. Like, think before the presidency. Like, we still had Obama, right? Or even before that. That's fine. What was your guys' perception?
What was the previous perception of America?
Yeah,
So you want to know what my perception was before the Trump?
yeah. Your generalization of us. Yeah. Like, if you can name three things that, like, when you hear America, you think of these three things. What are those three things?
Okay, I'll be brutally honest.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's what I want.
Okay. All right. When I think of America, I think of consumerism. I think of fat people, and I think of guns. That's the first three things that come to mind.
So I've done this. I've done this.
Hold on.
Challenge a
Wait
few
to comment
times.
Until Zabby says his.
Oh yeah, that's right.
yeah,
Yeah.
mine's very similar. I was about to say hot dogs, guns, and overpriced everything.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So I've traveled the world, right? I've been around and seen a lot of different people, and I met a lot of different people. And whenever I'm out, I always ask this question because I'm always fascinated because we have our perceptions of the outside world, and it's always wildly wrong or overgeneralization. Here's a good example. When I went to Brazil, my friends were like, they were saying like how people who are they were like saying how people when they think Brazil, they just think like super crazy party, you know, like they think of the national party that they have, you know, and he's like, that's not really, that's only like once a year, and the rest of the year we're not like just partying all crazy, and it's not like, it's just like any other city in or place in the world. And it was true. Like when I was there, it was true. Like I believe that was true. But what's cool about all that was that, you know, he made a comparison. He's like, "Don't you guys have like spring break?" You know, and I'm like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "Yeah, like isn't that similar? Or you guys just like go and just party like there's no tomorrow for like a whole week?" You know? And he's like, "Yeah, it's just I guess we don't criticize it because it's ours." You know.
Yeah.
And then he was like, "Yeah, it's like when people think of America, they never think just spring break, right?" And I'm like, and in Brazil, they only think like of Carnaval or whatever it's called. And I'm like, "Oh, that's a fascinating point." And
before, oh, sorry, you go.
yeah, and then so then I asked people this, and the number one thing that's commonly brought up is usually some sort of unhealthy sensibility, like we're unhealthy here in the States. Right, that's almost always one of the three things that people mention,
Yeah.
and then the other one can flip flop. Like I'm not sure they're tied, but basically stuff that's big, and then guns, which I thought was really interesting. And this is like I've asked quite a few people this question every time I hang out, and this is generally what people say that are not from the States. So I think it's fascinating. That's all.
When I used to work in a bar before I did the job that I do now, and once a year we'd have the U.S. Navy come in because they dock in Brisbane. So we'd have all the Navy guys come in, and that's sort of the only real, I guess, interactions that I've had with American people. And I guess that's going to make my decision biased because I haven't had a big enough like demographic of Americans. But
yeah, sure.
Some of them were nice, but a lot of them were just really arrogant and sort of, you know, like America's the best, we're number one sort of scenario. But
I had a talk with one of my friends, and although the country that I live in, I'm a big fan of, right? I am, and I think there's a lot of great that the country has to offer, and I'll talk about that after I eviscerate it. But like it came to my realization, and I was like, wait, you know, just because I'm born in this country doesn't necessarily mean my country is great. And I think that's true for anyone, you know? Meaning that like just because you're born somewhere, that blind allegiance, I feel like needs to be earned. Whatever, don't be bored with my lack of patriotism. How dare you?
No.
But you know, then so I started thinking backwards then, right? Like I'll say, okay, instead of just blindly saying America's great, like what's great about it? That's kind of how I started thinking about it, you know? And I still believe that the things that make it great are like diversity, right? Now you think currently in the climate that we're living in, people are arguing against that. They say it's not diverse at all. But I just don't believe that's true, you know? And because I've been in a lot of different countries, and they have diversity, but it's not nearly as diverse. I think Canada comes pretty close too, actually. But I always consider Canada our attractive younger sister. But
that was a weird.
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
like everybody wants to talk to our younger attractive sister, you know. And so, but
in Australia, we call Canadians no Mexicans.
yeah, that's pretty bad.
What do you call it?
Yeah, stay out of this. Zabby, you can't speak for your own kind. You're too polite. He's like, all right, that's fine. I'll take it.
Fine.
See, just submissive, just kinder person to be around. And so, but the point I'm making is that, you know, like for instance, my mom and dad are like my dad's black and my mom's Korean. There's a lot of that here in the States. There really is, you know? And I think, like, when I traveled, for instance, like, I've been to European nations, and I've been to South American and Central American nations, and I haven't been to Australia, so I can't speak for Australia. And I've been to, and even if I've been to these places, doesn't mean I'm a spokesperson all of a sudden. I just have a broader understanding, you know? And so, for instance, when I was in Korea was probably like the only real place that I had some severe culture shock. Right? Because in Korea, like, everybody's Korean. Like 99% everyone's Korean. And I remember I tell people this, and they're just like, well, duh, it's Korea. I'm like, no, you don't get it. Like, every single person for like seas of people of just one type of ethnic group is really bizarre for me. I'm not used to that, especially living in California, you know? And so that kind of woke me up to realize there are nations that are just not as wildly diverse as places like the States, you know?
And don't necessarily want to be.
And yeah, and there's nothing necessarily wrong entirely with that. And so then, what are you looking for? Are you looking for the blankie?
Yeah, the nice.
Yeah, I don't know. I think she lost it.
No,
that's
it's
right
right
there. Okay. So there's like one of the biggest places that like, yeah, like when I was in Korea, like one of the biggest events that I had in Korea that I went to was their the World Cup, and they had the World Cup hosted there, and it was amazing. It was like, I've never seen like a true national pride, right? Like, everyone was flipping the hell out during the games. You know what I mean? And it was insanity to me. It was like crazy. You know, like America, we get pretty excited for certain sports and activities, but never at the scale, you know, as Korea did. And I thought that was fascinating. I was really into it. And that taught me, like, you know, people in their country just really just love their country. They have like a lot of pride there. And so then, you know, it just made me think more about like what made me proud of my own country. Like, what was it that I like? And I think diversity is still one of my favorite things about our country. And what we really do well too, I think. Well, not lately. I've been kind of disappointed. But before, we were really good about like free speech, you know? But now people are starting to try to dox people for their opinions, right? And I'm just like, what are you doing, man? You know? Like, that was like one of the best parts of our country. People can come here and have wildly different opinions, you know? And be all right. They can feel solace in that. Right? And I don't think, I'm not trying to say that there's no other nation that doesn't do that, right? I'm just saying that that's one of the things that I love specifically about my own country, you know?
Yeah.
And I know there's other countries that have some sense of independence, but then you see what's going on in Spain, right? Like, and you see demonstrations where these people are like, yeah, you know, we want to separate, and then it's chaos, right? Like, they can't have a dissenting opinion. Like, they literally sent like the government to these protests to like fight the people, and you know, a lot of the Spaniards are just like, no, that's not cool, dude. Like, you know, and at the same time, some people are like, no, that's fine. Like, how dare they separate from us, you know? And I understand both those sides, but it's just like you see other countries where any kind of like opposing opinion, it's really frowned upon and even punishable by certain crimes, or they're treated as a crime and punishable by, like, you know, executive punishment. And I'm not a big fan of that. I like to say stupid stuff and have opinions, knowing that it's not going to get me killed or put in jail, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's been overwatched, and I'm glad certain things are starting to surface. For instance, like the sexual harassment accusations and admission to a lot of these things, right? Because then we can all say, we can unify against that, right? Like we can all say, yeah, see, that is actually pretty bad, you know, and we should punish these individuals even if you like them deeply, right? Like specifically the one that I'm thinking of is Louis C.K., because a lot of people are like, oh, but Louis is so funny, dude, you know? And I'm just like, it doesn't matter. You just
Doesn't
don't.
mean you can ask people
Yeah,
if you
it
can-
doesn't matter. Yeah.
Well, yeah, hold on. I'm on the other side of that. There is an argument to be made for Louis, not based on loving him for his humor. There's a difference between asking for consent and then pulling out your dick and masturbating to rape. Like those are two very different things. They're both sexual harassment, sure, and it's not okay, and he owned up to it. But I think that we got to make sure that we draw that distinction, or else it's going to spiral out of control, like a lot of other things that's going on right now.
So then my question to you, with that argument as your opening argument,
Yeah.
is then how do we? What's the punishment for Louis C.K.?
Oh, he's already being punished. I'm not saying don't punish him. Right now. It's the
So
same
that's what I was saying. I said these people need to be punished.
right. And I'm not disagreeing with that.
Okay, so because not once did I say it's the same as rape. What I'm saying is
Okay.
you can't be pulling your dick out in front of people even if they didn't say anything. You know, like you got.
Oh yeah, and it's the whole like quote unquote consented because like
You
owned up to it. It was like,
shouldn't be defending him, is what I'm saying, because he did something wrong. Like you wouldn't say to a criminal who.
Hold on. I don't want to. Don't try to come at me like I'm.
Oh, I'm coming at you, dude.
No, dude.
Okay.
I'm not defending him. I'm talking about broad sense. My distinction here is that I want to make sure that all together when we're talking about this sexual harassment thing that's happening in our country,
That the punishment fits the crime.
well, yeah, not only that, because I think jail time's one thing. Losing all your TV shows and movie deals is another. Also, both terrible and should happen to them. But jail time is not necessarily something that should happen for Louis. Whereas if you rape somebody, there should be charges and you should be, go through the proper channels. But what I'm most concerned about is that if we equate those two instances, then, it's a slippery slope to where, maybe there's another sexual harassment story comes out and so just like, I don't know, like was too touchy and like hugged somebody that didn't want to hug. And like I'm giving an example, but maybe it was like, it could be seen as innocent, but because it's under the umbrella of all of these things, all of a sudden they're a rapist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, does that make sense? Like, it can go too far.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's accusing Louis C.K. of being a rapist, though.
So on
I think everybody's accusing,
I think there are. I think that is happening.
like
I think that's
people are actually accusing him of being a rapist. What?
No, I'm not. That's not the words they're using, but I'm saying they're equating the two. There's like it's as if he's just as bad as Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but
I'm just putting thought into it.
yeah, and it's not a bad argument to make, which is that people should think of what was done, right?
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is, when someone robs a liquor store, we don't say, well, that's not as bad as murder. We just say he robbed the liquor store. Yeah, we don't.
But I would say it's.
We don't all of a sudden pull out the chart of crime and see how bad of the crime it was. We just punish them. So for instance, all the companies that pulled out are in all their rights to do so, right?
Of course.
And it may seem like a severe punishment because Weinstein potentially got the same kind of thing happening, right? But the difference is.
I would say I don't think it's severe. I think it's
Okay.
totally
Yeah. Okay. And then
that's not where my
because Weinstein. Like, they're trying to take him to court. They are trying to put him in prison. I don't think anyone's trying to put Louis C.K. in prison. People are just saying that sucks. That shit sucks. And if someone starts to try to say Louis C.K. should go into prison, and then I will say, yes, maybe that's a little too extreme. He never touched them. He never physically assaulted them. He just put them in a very awkward situation that was not ethical, and it was just...
and unlike Kevin Spacey, there were no minors involved.
Yeah, it was just... misread the situation. Perhaps he's sick, You know, with this, like, he has got this.
A weirdo, and he's got.
Yeah, and there's nothing entirely wrong with, because he himself understands the consequence of it. Because unlike Harvey, he just admitted, like, yeah, I did it. He didn't say anything else. He didn't say, oh yeah, and by the way, I'm gay. He didn't just all of a sudden. Yeah, he just didn't just all of a sudden like announce some other. Yeah, he pretty much fully admitted. So I understand that, but like, you know, it's he did something wrong, man, and people need to know that like that's not gonna slide, dude. And I think that's what's happening. I think he's getting that. Yeah, I think he's getting the backlash that is like it's pretty bad, man. Like, you shouldn't be going around masturbating in front of ladies.
It's weird. It's just weird. You know?
Yeah, I don't get it.
So, on that, I know that the conversations on these always end up going towards Trump again. But did you guys see Shaddy's status? I think it was yesterday or maybe the day before about it.
What? Who?
What? Say again.
Shaddy's status about the Trump thing with he was just talking about all the previous comments he'd made, and now he's the president. Like, I know that the conversations always go towards the Trump.
Oh yeah, so that I don't think because Trump himself has said and done things that have been like or almost they are almost a little equivalents to Louis C.K.'s situation, and the difference is that Louis C.K. is getting like destroyed and career is being dismantled in front of our eyes, and then Donald Trump is running the country. No, I think he should be out of the presidency. Yeah, because he's an idiot. He's a misogynistic imbecile.
He said and
yeah, I'm not in control. Yeah, I'm not in control of putting him like out of office. I can't do that. I want him out for all of these reasons. I'm consistent with my feelings on this, right? I'm consistent, and so. Like, I don't care if you're my favorite comedian or you're just some rich kid who owns a bunch of hotels, right? You just don't grab people by their pussy without asking them, and you just don't go around like trying to kiss people or try to buy people furniture to make an advance on them. You just don't do that. You just no. And Louis C.K. is the same thing. Like, you just don't go around saying, you know what? Do you mind if I masturbate in front of y'all? What? Hey, what the hell? His dick's out already. And then he just starts going at it. See, it's one thing if it's like one time, right? Maybe it was just like weird that one day or naively young, whatever. But like 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. That means these are the instances where people are brave enough to come out, right? So you'll see these arguments online where people will say, well, why didn't they say it sooner? Right? I mean, if you ever been sexually abused, you're embarrassed, right? And you're shamed. It's really not easy, right? It's really not easy to just be like, all right, you know, like, obviously this is bad. I should go out and tell people, right? Like, in some instances, it's just really like it's like you feel like if you tell people, people are going to think of you differently. Like, and not as like not like that you did something wrong. But they'll just be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know something so terrible happened to you. And then they start thinking of you as some sort of damaged individual. And then they start treating you potentially differently, you know? Again, and this is... Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I definitely think that the recent events of people coming out, like with Harvey Weinstein and the other guy that did the Wonder Woman series with Gal Gadot saying that she's not going to have part in any of the sequels, I definitely think those events happening giving people the confidence to be able to say, okay, well, this did happen and it's not okay. And I think those sort of events are what needs to happen for people to sort of have the confidence to stand up and say something, whereas previously before it would have been frowned upon. Like they said with Harvey, if you don't do this, then, you know, you're not going to be a movie star or that sort of thing. So people are sort of, I think, worrying about what the consequences will be previously, whereas now they're just going, okay, now we have the confidence.
Yeah, consider this. Even in the Louis C.K. situation, there was 5 people who came out, and one of them is still anonymous. Do you understand? Like, even with like the obvious backlash against him, that person still doesn't feel comfortable coming out. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm trying to get at, right? Like, and so yeah, people need to know like this isn't okay. We need to do a cleansing of the industry, dude. Just get them all out, dude. Let them all out. I was watching someone comment on this, and they were just like, look. They're like talking to the camera and everything, and they're like, look, if you've done some shit, you better say it now, because they're gonna come get you, dude. You know, you better come out now and admit that you've done something horrendous, or they're coming for you. You know, because he's like, look, that Louis C.K. is not even safe, right? And so, and I like that. I think that if you really are genuinely, like, if you feel like you may have actually affected people in a way that really damaged them, I think it's best to come out now. All right, because people are feeling more brave, and it's better to come out under your own terms and say, you know what, it was a mistake, my bad, and then just take the punishment on the chin, right? Than to just wait till people catch you. Because even with Louis, right, like after they caught him, apparently there was a time where people approached him before, and he was just like, you know, if you keep feeding the rumors, you know, they only become true, right? But apparently those weren't rumors; they were always true. But it goes to show, like, the people that did try to come out against him, it didn't work, right, the first time.
Yeah.
So it's crazy, and so, like, so I understand the point you're trying to make, though, Mike. I do, but at the same point, like, I think the argument that I'm trying to latch onto is that if you do something wrong, right, there should be some sort of punishment. There should be some sort of accountability, right?
Yeah,
So
I don't disagree with that.
With the punishment and accountability side of things, moving away from the entertainment industry and more towards the, the Catholic Church side of things, with the, sorry, I've lost my train of thought, with the sexual harassment claims and, the whole thing with underage altar boys and that sort of thing, the punishment that was for those people doesn't necessarily fit the crime either. Do you think that they should sort of be uniformly, if you do it, there should be like a uniform punishment, depending on the severity of it, definitely. But, it's not just in the entertainment industry, if that makes sense.
Yes, dude. I thought I made it pretty clear.
Special treatment.
Yeah, I thought I made it pretty clear. Like, I said the punishment should be true for the president of the United States. Why would have all of a sudden, I think that's why we have laws. Laws are supposed to affect everyone equally.
Well, and yeah, laws equate us. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be like you can't sexually abuse or do sexual misconduct, unless you got a platinum record, or unless you work at a church. No, it's like, no, like having sex with younger kids, even if they're consent biting, we all agreed that a child specifically in America, under the age of 18 isn't wise enough to make a potential wise decision on their own sexuality, right?
I completely agree.
You understand? And I even think that that's that age, right? Like, there's a reason why we did that. We thought, look, these people have to have some time to be able to have a consensual conversation. And I actually believe that younger generations, like, I think some countries have it at the age of 16, where consent. I think that should be fine if you are within that age range, like if you're 18 years old, right? Because I think younger people should be exposed to sex at a very early age, not in a way where they just get STDs and whatever, so that it doesn't become taboo, right? So that when they get older, they can become more sexually responsible. But not going out to schools and just throwing out condoms and be like, all right, guys, get at it, orgy. I'm just saying, like, for instance, like, one of my gripes with religion is like they put a large standard on waiting until you get married before you have sex. And I just think I understand the defense of that, right? It's supposed to keep the sanctity of marriage, and like it's supposed to make everything a little bit more sacred and more meaningful. I understand that. But, in America specifically, we have like a high divorce rate. We have a lot of sexual infidelity, and I think a lot of that has to do with these people just don't know any better. They're not taught any meaningful sex ed, right? They're treated like that their genitals and stuff are some mystifying force. And I think there should be some sense of like, because kids already kind of do that, right? Like kids already have sex when they're like 16 and 15 with one another, right? If we can just, instead of saying, oh, you guys are just a bunch of horn dog mother monstrosities, if we were just to have like a conversation and just be like, look, be safe. These are the things. Like if you're going to do it, this is how you should think about it. You know, think ahead of time. Think about, show them statistics of marriages and sexual infidelity. Show them like the disease, and
they're allowed to say no.
Yeah, and they're allowed to say no. Like when a girl acts a certain way in body language, doesn't necessarily give you the right to. If they're drunk and intoxicated, they can't make their own judgment. Doesn't give you the right. You know, like all these types of things should be taught at a very young age. So then when kids go to college and they're away from their parents and they don't have any of these kind of lax laws that they used to have, they don't go overboard and they go like that's the same thing how I feel about drinking in America. Again, it's like tabooed, right? And so even like our oldest son, like I talked to him about it. Like I said, look, like I can't stop you from doing stuff, right? Like I can't stop you from like drinking because I drank when I was young, you know? Just don't drive. Like you could take a Lyft, right? I can go pick you up. You know what I mean? Because I'm your dad, and I'd rather you be alive than me being disappointed in you. I was like, I did it, and I turned out all right. You know? It's like, just be responsible, dude. Yeah, I was like, just be responsible. Like, I get it. You're going to do it. You're going to hang out with people, and don't let your friends drive, you know? And sure enough, that's what happened. Like, he would take Lyft, or he would just stay the night at his friend's. At one time, his friend was trying to drive, and he grabbed the car keys, and, like, he, like, hit him from him. And because but at the same time, right, like, just if we make these rules that say, okay, you know, young teenagers or older teenagers can have sexual relations with one another, doesn't then open the gates to, like, a 40-year-old, you know, to be like, all right, see? Like, these guys can do it. Why can't I get in there? Like, no. Like, let these people, like, have some sexual maturity, right? To understand the circumstances, to understand power dynamics, to understand manipulative behavior at some level, right? Yeah. So they don't get taken advantage of. And then, like, you know, because we don't necessarily frown upon, like, a 25 or 27-year-old dating, like, a 60-year-old, right? We don't look down at it as much as if we just move that age range down a few decades, right? Because we all agree that if by the time you're in your early or late 30s or early 30s and late 20s, we agree, most of us understand that you've lived long enough that you have some sense of sexual maturity, right? And that if you decide to date an older gentleman or older lady, that this was by choice, you know? And there's nothing entirely wrong with that.
I definitely agree that the sexual education system needs to be overhauled. I don't know how it is in the States, but I remember when I was in school, it wasn't necessarily sexual education. It was more scare tactics, I guess, that were just trying to scare you out of not doing it, which shouldn't happen. You should be firmly educated on everything that happens within, you know, sexual health and all that sort of stuff, not just don't have sex because you'll get pregnant and you'll die.
Yeah, because you could totally have a meaningful sexual relationship with another teenager if you're a teenager, right? Where you don't end up with a child and you don't keep your love life secret. Like if the parents didn't flip out on you, right? And the parents were like, it's fine, but just like, you know, understand you're still young and naive and you're going to go through stuff. Like use condoms, use birth control, right?
Like that's how my mom raised me, so. Yeah,
because you don't, like, just saying you're going to burn in hellfire and damnation, or you're going to end up with, like, you know, STDs and all this stuff, is not practical advice. Like, that's true. It's true advice. Like, there's some truth to what being said, but it's not practical. Like, you're not giving them any instruction on how to prevent this other than just complete avoidance. And it's just like,
that'd be like if, you know, you're doing a driving lesson, right? And they're saying, oh, if you drive, you'll get into a car accident and die. You know, they're not actually showing you how to drive. It's similar to that. And I think that being, you know, from the sexual education that I got when I was a kid would be completely different to the sexual education that my parents would have gotten. But I think it needs to move in a more, you know, positive direction and not have such a stigma on it, which it currently does in the education.
Yeah, because I think like during that age, right, like especially right around 15, 16, and then as you get older, like the hormones are going crazy, dude. Like kids don't know what to do with themselves. Like I remember when I was that age. Like I remember like I was in like sophomore and I was like at PE and I just had like a full on erection for no reason. And I was just like I was up the bat and I was like standing so awkwardly. And I didn't know what to do, man. I didn't know how to feel about it, right? I was like, what the hell, dude?
What's wrong with your legs, man?
Yeah, man. I remember my friends were making fun of me and stuff, and it's just because I didn't like. I was like, "What's going on, bro?" And I'm like, "Don't worry about it." But I wasn't like I was aroused or just out of like looking at a baseball bat or I saw some attractive young lady or something. It just came out of nowhere, man. Yeah, and I was just like, yeah. And I remember when I would be in school, and I'll just be sitting, and then like the same thing would happen. I'll just be sitting there. And then I'll just get a full erection again. And then just like the bell would ring. I had to go to my next class. And I would always like grab my backpack, put it over my stuff, and just like walk out. And I'm just like, oh, this is so awkward, dude.
Yeah, you gotta find that.
Yeah. Now I know what was going on, right? Like my body was just like hormonally like teaching myself that I can like make babies, you know? And like there was...
I feel like I came in at a strange time.
No, this is a good time. This is a good time, dude. This is a good time. And like, you know, yeah, like when I was younger, I just didn't know what to think of it. But now I understand. I was just like, my body was making me like ripe and going through puberty to create the ability to reproduce, right? And so my hormones and my sense of attraction to young ladies was increasing, you know, and my sexuality was increasing. And so I was like, dumbstruck by that. And like schools should also be giving advice on like high school relationships and how that if they're not as powerful and how to treat heartache and break, because that also leads to a lot of other psychological issues that people end up having when they get older, right? From like trust issues to abandonment issues that they also get from like bad home structures. Like, school just does not do a good job of doing any of that, man. It only compounds these problems, you know? And luckily for me, I had, like, a good support system. I had my best friends, and we were just a bunch of goofballs. So it didn't matter how, like, silly our lives were. We would always have each other's back, you know? I didn't have to impress anybody. That's what I'm trying to get at. And so...
Can I add to that story?
Yeah, you just came out of puberty, right? So tell us about it. You and Zabby, yeah, you guys should chime in. It just like happened yesterday.
What? Whatever.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm 27 and I feel like I'm just coming out.
23.
Well, I'll talk about that in just a second, about the age of 20, the mid-20s. But go ahead. Yeah, get back to work. Go back to you. Fight those crocodiles. All right.
See you later, guys. Bye.
Later.
Oh, see ya, bud.
Okay, go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
All right, no, all good. So very similar. So like, I think all boys go through this, right? This period where you end up having like these what do they call them? Surprise erections. There's a word for it that I forget. You know, you know what I mean? Now, here was my conundrum. I failed PE class because of this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because at the high school I went to, we had mandatory suit up where you had to put on these like short shorts, right? And like this like.
And they're just like flimsy ass shorts.
Yeah, dude. And I was like,
yeah,
dude,
I
I swear
gotcha.
to God, if this happens in gym, it's my shorts are not gonna cover it. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
it's gonna peep through.
Yeah, it's gonna peek through. It's gonna be traumatic. So. And you know you can't control when it happens, right? When you're at that age. So I refused to suit up. I would never wear those shorts. I would go to gym in pants, right? And maybe that was weird for some people, but it gave me more control over my own body.
Yeah.
And that aspect of the class was so heavily graded that I failed PE.
So stupid, dude.
Solely because I wouldn't sit up, and I had to take it twice. Second time, it was a year later at the time. I had more control, so it wasn't as big a deal. And I think they changed the policy to allow sweatpants. So that was a little easier to manage. But anyway.
You ain't wearing short shorts, boy? Don't you know that I'm a pedophile?
Yeah, the other thing was that.
I gotta see it. I gotta see a bonus.
Shorts, dude.
I gotta see a bonus.
Did you see the post that my high school was in the news?
Oh yeah, I was gonna comment on that, but
It sucks, dude. It sucks.
Oh, what happened?
They went like viral or something because some like high school teacher thought it would be okay for them to chant a kind of racist chant at my school.
Good times.
It didn't go as viral as I
Good
thought.
times.
Maybe it was a weekend.
Okay.
But I also think like it's not the worst thing ever.
yeah.
I mean, it's not okay, but it's not the worst thing ever. I call it poor judgment at best.
I think my high school was in the paper in my town 3 times in like 3 years. 2 for 2 different occasions of teachers sleeping with students, and then 1 because one of the priests had taken a ton of the donation money and gone gambling with it and lost all the money.
Bummer, dude.
But dude, Jesus
Birthday
though.
won.
Yeah. Hey, listen.
Jesus was gonna bless the pot.
It was funny because I knew immediately before I even saw like the name. I was
Wait,
like, "Oh, I
Zabby. Wait, hold on. What did you say, Zabby?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. It's gonna go now. Thanks for hanging out.
Tell us about your puberty experience before you go.
I mean, if it happens, you just act like you have stomachache and just stay crouched.
It's so funny. Like every dude that I talk to has this thing, man. They had a strat.
You gotta rubber. You
always
gotta do
stressed.
the waistband.
No, you know, it was cool to have your
belt,
hand in your
belt
pocket.
thing too. Yeah,
Yeah, gotta do belt.
Put your hand in your pocket and
hurts.
crouch over.
It hurts, but it's better than being caught with one.
Yeah, dude.
So,
Oh, the belt? Yeah, that was another one.
Yeah,
it really hurts. Jeez.
Or when you're sitting at the desk, you got the fucking the book bag.
Yeah, that was.
What am I
Always
saying?
the bag.
Backpack. Or the giant
jacket.
books that they have you have at the class, like your history book, on the lap, easy.
Anything, everything, honestly. That
Yeah.
covered, yeah. But yeah, stomachache's easy. It's always there. Okay.
Or you don't.
All right, man. See you later.
Yep. Bye.
cover your junk with a backpack, or say you have a stomachache for all you teenage boys out there.
Yes.
Yeah, pro tip.
Or you just lean back and
Lean back. What?
Let it fly.
Just
What they call
be
that?
proud.
It's intent, right?
I don't care, man. This is natural. This is me.
Yeah. In hindsight, I just think it's funny. I just didn't know any better. Like, my dad didn't talk to me about this stuff. Nobody did. And so, I remember like me and my friends would do like weird stuff, man. Like we would like, one of my friends, he's like, "Oh, dude, I got a bunch of pornos, bro. Let's watch them together." And we would go to his house and we would watch them together. And in hindsight, I'm just like, yeah,
That's weird.
because in high school, like I didn't want to do it. I really didn't. I remember thinking like, "Oh, this is real weird. Like I don't want to do it." But then they would say something like, "Oh, but dude, you're gay then if you don't want to watch porn with a bunch of dudes."
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't think so, dude. I think it's the opposite of what you're saying. And it's not to necessarily say that there's anything wrong with liking dudes. I'm just saying, like, this is really weird, guys. Like, if we are all actually just straight bunch of dudes, this is really weird. And it was.
I realized at the time. It's just
Yeah,
like,
this really was weird. And, like, I remember thinking, too, that it was weird. And then my friend would do stuff like, he would play games with us. He was like, "All right, dude. Like, when I say stand up, stand up." And then, like, I was like, "What? Why?"
Close enough right there.
Yeah. He's like, "Just want to see, man. Just see how we're all rolling." And I'm like, "All right, this is not great situation, dude.
I'm officially uncomfortable.
This is not great."
No, dude. If one of the things that sort of came to me a little bit after graduating was if you were just in any sort of high school sports, the stuff that happened in the boys' locker room
Oh yeah.
is like,
One of my friends literally sexually abused somebody and was bragging about it. He was like, "Dude, I put my dick in so and so's mouth when they're sleeping. It's hilarious."
What the fuck?
And I was like, I don't know if that's hilarious. I think that's abuse. I was like,
I think that's illegal.
yeah, I think that's illegal, dude. And even at that age, yeah, before you continue, like even at that age, I even said that to him. I was like, I think that's illegal, dude. Like I don't think you can be putting your dick in people's mouths. It's just, and then
Wait, that shit happened on South Park. That
Wait.
exactly
Probably why.
happened.
Oh yeah, that's right. And then Cartman was having an existential crisis.
It's like, yeah, dude, Butters is so gay. And it's like,
He's like, no, you're the one that put your dick in his mouth.
He's
Yeah.
like, what?
Yeah, it's
No,
great commentary.
That's
man.
entirely the thing where it's just like, no, man, if you don't do it, you're totally gay. And it's just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I don't.
Oh wait, no, it was the other way around. Oh yeah, that's right, it was the other way around. Carmen put Butters' dick in his mouth.
That's right.
Either way, not good.
I love South Park, man. They like even with the political climate as it is, like they can give two fucks about being politically correct. They're still just being just as absurd. Like, and that's what I love about it. They're staying consistently like they've ridden all the waves. They're just like people are like, oh, I can't believe they did that. And like in their game where they had the difficulty based on race. The game, the fractured butthole.
Fractured butthole.
Yeah, they have a difficulty setting based off of race. Like if you're darker, the game is harder.
Oh,
And-
I didn't see that.
Well, technically, it's based on skin color because you can be super dark and identify as white. So
Oh, that's true. That is
yeah.
true.
That's so
Did
funny.
you guys watch Atlanta?
No, I
Watch
haven't
what?
seen it.
Atlanta, that's a Donald Glover show.
Oh yeah, I have. Yeah.
Yeah, the transracial dude.
No, I haven't seen any of it, so I don't know what you're talking about. Thanks for spoiling it.
It's like not a spoiler.
Oh, transracial, is that the thing where like you declare different race or ethnic background?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he's like
Like I'm not like if I'm white and I'm like, no, I'm not white, I'm black.
Yeah, it was that kind of
No,
thing.
no, it's
Like,
worse than that, dude.
It was like
That's
the
like
dude's basically like a 14-year-old black kid, and he's just like, I identify as a 35-year-old white male, and I think everyone's really
I
just
love
holding me
Glover.
back. Yeah, and it just all the stuff and they're like, well, what do you mean? You're obviously black. He's like, no, do you see the khakis that I'm wearing?
Yeah.
just absurd stuff. And I'm just like,
Yeah, that's me and my friend, we were talking about this, and she was saying how like in Austria, they don't use a word like race. It's like it's frowned upon to even consider like different races. You just look at everybody as Austrians, and I'm like, yeah, man, that sounds like that's fine, dude. And we were talking about it, and I was like, yeah, because if you think about like my kids, like where are they gonna fit? Like when that little fucking paper rolls around, right? And it's like, what are you? What are you, dude? Like they're gonna check everything. Like literally, they're gonna check like every little mark. Like, and you know what? It's funny. I would always have that conundrum whenever I would have that test. So like, I remember like in certain circumstances I would be Asian, in other circumstances I'd be black. Right?
that'll be, yeah, where you're like, which one is gonna help me?
Yeah. When it comes to affirmative action, I'm black, dude. I'm real black. You talking about? Need that help, bro? And then when I'm like trying to get a job, oh yeah, I'm Asian, dude. You know, it's like just get rid of it, dude. Just get rid of it and just look at my work. And then what am I? Oh, I'm a good artist. Great. That's why you hired me.
Tilted by it because I was like, well, there is a black option, but it's like black African American, and I'm just like, well, I'm just African.
Oh, now what, America?
Yeah, technically, I'm Haitian and Blackfoot.
Damn, guys, I need an option too.
Yeah. Where's my representation in movies, huh? There's only movies with just black people and just Korean people. I want the black Koreans.
Yeah, we should
Well,
boycott.
actually, wasn't
All movies.
Kimora Lee Simmons? She was in something somewhere, sometime.
No, quit trying to defend for them.
No.
No.
Don't defend my kind.
Sorry, guys, I'm a white supremacist.
And
Oh,
gotcha.
oh.
Gotcha.
Positive.
I identify as a white supremacist, 30-year-old white supremacist male, female. Yeah. Wait, Zabby's watching again. Zabby, get back in here if you're not leaving for real. You silly goose. Yeah, I get it, man. And there's like a lot of, there's a lot of shitty things happening to people for no real good reason, but I think it's best that we start looking after each other without focusing on our differences, right? And I think that's that has more foresight, right? I think still focusing on race is very short-sighted. Yes, there's still racism, and yes, there's still people that focus specifically on that and why they get pissed, right? But I think it's short-sighted because a lot of people are going to not really identify with anything anymore. They're just not, right? It's already happening.
I'm American.
Eventually going to be Mariah Carey, where you're just like, I really don't know what she is.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter. You just you enjoy her for her music or what have you. Did you hear that she was also sexually harassing?
Yeah, I heard.
Get them all, dude. I'm equal opportunity harassment. And if you harass people and you're a female, I don't give a fuck. Get them all, dude. Get them all out. All of them. And
Round them up.
oh no. There's gonna be a bonfire tonight. Gonna get all of them offenders.
I want to hear you squeal.
Yeah, I'm serious though, man. Like, it's making the rest of us decent folk look bad, dude. You know, like now I can't potentially say anything that might be a joke, and it's going to kind of what Mike was alluding to earlier, right?
Yeah, dude.
Without people then feeling like oppression. It's like, no, we gotta definitely build some lines, but I think that's my point, though. But we should still stay consistent on that punishment, because it's a slippery slope in the other direction. If then you just let everybody slide just because you're afraid of a little bit of punishment for saying something a little wrong, and I don't know, man. I don't have a solutions for this, man. I don't got the power.
It's funny. I always there, at least as far as comedy is concerned, I feel like the rule has always been like, if it's funny, then it's okay. It's kind of been the thing, because it's like Dave Chappelle. If you watch the Chappelle Show now, and you're just like, damn, like this could never be made now. Like no one would.
People would have flipped out, yeah. Same thing with Chris Rock's special, "Killing Them Softly."
Oh yeah.
One of my favorites.
Oh my god.
Where he makes the comparison between black people versus niggers, right?
Yeah.
He's like, we got black people, and then you got the niggers, right? And then his jokes are still funny. I was listening to the other day, and he was like, see, niggas want to get respect for things they're supposed to do. They're supposed to do. Yeah, I take care of my kids. You're supposed to take care of your kids, you know? Wait, hold on.
It was funny what he said. He said about that joke, like, I think years later. He was like, yeah, it was a really good joke, and I'm still proud of it. But I feel bad because they're like racist people that co-opted it, and they like.
Wait, say it again. My wife was talking to me for a second. Start that over. I'm sorry.
Well, where he was saying that joke, he was like, yeah, it was a really good joke, but I feel like it got co-opted by the wrong people. Like there are people who don't get why that whole situation is funny, and he was just like, yeah, and so there's like a bunch of racist KKK guys who really love that joke.
Like,
yeah. See, told you.
Round them up.
But see, the joke's on them. He was saying that there's a difference between the actual community. He wasn't actually saying black people as a whole. He was saying that there are a group of them in his community that are fucking it up for the rest of them. Right? They're giving everyone a bad name. It's like it's like when you see like these Islamic terrorists. You know, they cause these terrible crimes. And then, then you have people start to say, well, see, like Islam's a religion of violence, which, I mean, let's say it's true, but it doesn't mean that every single person that you run into, every Muslim that you run into is going to be an extremist, right?
Exactly.
And the same with on the flip side of like Christianity, right? There's going to be people who shoot up churches and or kill people in the name of their religion for whatever reasons, or do terrible things or say terrible things in the name of the religion. For instance, there was a guy, this pastor was saying, he was like, women are sexually assaulting men when they dress provocatively. I think we talked about this, but that, like, he's making those the Christians look bad, because some of my best friends are Christian, and these people I love to death, I'll do anything for them, and it has nothing to do with the religion. It has everything to do with who they are, right? Like, I can care less of what they believe in, especially they use the religion as a great tool to do good things in their life, right? They don't find ways to manipulate their bad behavior and say that it's the force of God. They do the opposite, right? And so, like that's kind of what the joke was, right? Like the joke was like saying like they're just people in the community. They're just not good, and they're making everyone else look bad.
Yeah.
And it's a really funny joke, and it's like all the jokes he made in that was really commenting on that. And you know, the black community themselves are like laughing and enjoying it.
No, exactly, yeah.
And
people understand what he's getting at with the joke.
Mm-hmm. I was just watching something today. Someone shared something really, really hilarious, where they were talking about how Will Smith is not respected in the rap community
At all.
and even though like he has platinum records, he like was one of the most successful hip hop stars at one point, where he was selling more CDs than Jay-Z.
Yeah. Fucking him and Jazzy Jeff.
Yeah.
Summer.
Yeah, and he even dissed other rappers. He's like, dare you to make a song without a curse, you know?
Yeah.
Because he was just kind of like saying, oh, you think I'm good at shoes? Well, then try rapping without cussing at all. And so even his backfiring on the community was still like polite. And so the case that was made was that like why don't people like he should be up there with like Dre and Ice Cube and all those people, you know? Yeah, and he should be, and I agree with that actually. And they say it's just because like he isn't like hard, right?
Yeah, he's inoffensive.
Yeah, and it's
very like. Yeah.
And then the argument that this person was making, I don't know who this was, but I respected their opinion because they were able to look at it objectively. And he brought up a very good point. He's like, so they were harping on him because he's corny, but isn't it just as corny to pretend that you're a gangster, even though you're not? You know? And I was like, oh, shots fired, dude. Shots fired, figuratively. And so, and one of my favorite rap songs was called Read a Book. Have you ever heard of this one? It's not even a rap song. It's just like a chorus. It's really funny. It's just like, read a book, read a goddamn book. Brush your teeth, brush your goddamn teeth. You know? Where deodorant, nigga? It's so funny. And it's just like, it's just good advice. It was like invest in real estate. Like it was one of the verses. But it was like it had like a T-Pain, not a T-Pain. It had like a Little John kind of vibe to it. He's like, yeah, right.
I think I know what you're talking about.
But it was just like really, had a good beat and everything. And it just like, it just had like a really catchy chorus because it was just like read a book, and I thought it was so funny. You know, and me and my friends used to listen to that and dance to it because it was just kind of ironic. And there was another one. It was like INDEPE. Yeah, wait, I think I spelled it wrong. Like INDEPENDENT. If you know what I mean. You know, have you ever heard that song?
Yeah, I know that one.
Yeah, and the rap song there was like talking about like women.
INDEPENT. It's more like that vibe.
Yeah, and it was like it was talking about just women that are just independent. She got her own house. She got her own car. Right? Like you just don't hear a lot of songs like that from the community. It's like the complete opposite.
Nah, dude. You gotta listen to Chance the Rapper.
And Chance the Rapper.
Chance the Rapper.
And
Okay.
J. Cole. And J. Cole. Hey, wait,
Not so much J. Cole.
meme?
Not
What's the
J. Cole.
meme?
What? These
the
hoes
J.
ain't
Cole meme?
loyal. What?
What are you talking about? No, that's not his song.
See,
though.
we gotta stop fighting each other, dudes. We gotta stop it.
Chris Brown.
Stop the violence.
But no, J. Cole. If you listen to his
No, J. Cole's good, but he's not.
No,
like,
So what was
Chance
that?
the Rapper.
If you
I think Logic too, right? Logic
Yeah,
has some.
Logic's about it. He's around there. Yeah.
I mean, Childish Gambino.
I mean, he made it.
Depending on the song.
No, dude. Giles Gambino.
Depending on the
Are you
song.
stupid?
Depending on.
Oh damn!
No, dude.
Oh, you're stupid.
No, dude. Dude, fight me.
Yeah.
In the streets.
See?
I thought we were trying to avoid this.
Can't we just all get along?
We gotta wild
This-
out now.
This infighting, dude, got real.
This infighting.
These crazy black folk, man. I knew it. I knew these black people don't know how to get along. Their rap music.
Funny J. Cole meme. Like there's a whole meme about how his fans are always like, his lyrics are just so deep, you guys don't get them yet.
like the Rick and Morty. That meme. You know what I'm talking about? Right?
Oh no, I don't know. About
What?
that.
The Rick and Morty meme?
I've never seen an episode of Rick and Morty in my
What?
entire life.
No, it's like.
Oh, now you got. Now we do gotta fight you, yeah.
Oh,
You're dead, dude.
snap.
You're dead.
You're
Wait,
dead,
what's the
dude.
thing?
Where do you live? What's your area numbers?
You've never seen Rick and Morty?
No, you wouldn't be sophisticated enough to get all the humor anyway.
You're not smart enough. You
Oh,
s-
that's what
what?
it is. Yeah, yeah. It's
That's
like you-
literally the meme.
That's the meme. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
not sophisticated enough to understand J. Cole's lyrics.
Yeah, it's the same meme.
Yeah.
What, you stupid or something? Great quote from Mike there.
Classic.
You must be stupid.
Dude,
Yeah, I'm sure there's a few, but that's not the majority, dude.
It's funny. They're actually. I think they're a lot more.
oh, not at all, and they're not even the most what's the word? Wealthy, whatever. Like,
Yeah,
That's not what's
They're
popular.
not the ones.
Yeah, the mumble rap is popular right now, isn't it? I don't know.
I mean, I like that shit. So
Which is.
Well, I didn't say there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying that if you look at like the inner meaning of these songs, they don't mean anything. They're just a bunch of people mumbling.
I think
Songs for dancing.
well, I mean,
Oh my friend, would be dirty yet.
it's a good song, dude. No,
You're not gonna convince me that there's some poetry in there, man. You're just not.
there is, dude. There is.
How?
Dude, have you listened to Designer?
Okay, I'll listen to Designer. Let's listen to it right now.
Listen to Designer Outlet.
Timmy
Desi-
Turner.
No, not that one. Outlet. That is one of the hardest under appreciated songs out there. If you listen to what he's saying, man, he's hard to understand. I'll give you that. But I listen to him enough.
Hold on, guys.
I hear all the words.
Here, you know what? I
Hold on. I don't listen to this.
got a rap
Are you
genius.
really listening to it?
Well, actually, I probably can't because they're gonna demonetize. I don't have any monetization, but they just take all my.
I was gonna say, is your stream monetized?
No, they just like they'll just take it off. They'll flag it. You listen to that mumble rap? And then I'm running in the pit, jumping and down on the dish in the flake, eating all of my chicken and flake, eating all the other day on the cake, gonna go down, dancing around, jumping and dance, eating a clown. I don't wanna.
Forever, the
Am I old? Is that what it is? Like I just don't get it.
Yeah, you got it.
Oh
You
man!
Get it, man.
All
You
right,
don't get it.
I'll listen
We
to
had
it.
this conversation.
Yeah, okay.
You
on
should-
your own time.
Yeah. My favorite Kendrick Lamar song is one that everyone craps on because they're like, it's barely a song. I'm like,
No, I don't mind that it's barely a song. I'm just saying there's no hopeful message being told to young minds who are being sculpted by this, right? Like at least like gangster rap was talking about like real struggles that people were like dealing with. You know what I mean? Like Tupac was talking about some real shit, so much real that he actually got shot and killed for it, right? Like he was talking about some real problems. He came from real, like Snoop Dogg, same thing, you know?
50 Cent got shot 9 times.
Yeah, I mean they would have their party songs, but then they would have like meaningful songs. Like one of my favorite songs with Tupac, I forget the name exactly, was like about his mom, right?
Dear Mama.
Dear Mama, yeah, that one's good, dude. That one's real good.
Yeah.
And Changes too, right? That was another one. Yeah, that was
Keep Your Head
another.
Up. Keep Your Head Up is another.
Yeah, see, those are like, okay, look, y'all.
Is
The
Crossroads?
hood is hard, dude.
Crossroads
But
is Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Maybe at the crossroads.
yeah, that's right.
So good.
See, and that's about like dead homies, dude. Like it's talking about some real stuff that some of these people in the inner cities can relate to. You know, maybe I can't relate to that, but like,
But here's the thing, though. That stuff still exists. Like, if you don't subscribe and listen to mumble rap, then you have less of an opinion and judge.
I understand, but even the description of it makes me laugh.
Yeah, but
If you don't listen to mumble rap, dude,
listen, no, hold on, listen. Now listen. That was
Listen, Tim
created as an insult, and then they embraced it. Okay, they embraced it, but in the same vein, you could say lecture rap. for the other side of it. Like, I am trying to listen to you lecture me.
People don't like a lot of rappers that come off as being preachy.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, trying to tell them how to.
Nah, that's not me. I like both, you know, but I'm just saying it's built as an insult, so it's like they're just embracing it.
So
the classic critique of what, you know, conscious rappers are the rappers who have like a message to their music, but like so many of the people listen to it, and it's like, you know what, this guy.
So
I want to listen to some guy telling me like what I should do. To make
sure. So the equivalent for me, I guess in our generation, would have been like a pop music, right? Like Britney Spears and NSYNC. It's just not. It's out of touch. Yeah, it's out of touch of reality. It's just like hyper realistic, right? That's my point. Like, that was toxic then. Like, literally, Britney Spears song "Toxic." And I think this is like the next wave, and I don't think it would be a problem if people were more like you, Mike, right? Like, that were just had access to more information, so then they just like the music because they actually just like it, right? But then, like, if that's all you're exposed to and have access to, it might be painting a different picture than actual reality. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Because, like, I'm sure I like it too, because I like the dance. I like just a good beat and just some good sounds mixed together. You know, I'm sure it'd be fine. You know,
Future is great, man. He's good.
Yeah, I don't doubt that I'd actually appreciate it too. I'm just saying,
Also,
like, this is like the old man version of me, right? Like, I'm just saying there needs to be diversity, and people need to be exposed to that.
And that's fair.
Future is like the Kurt Cobain of mumble rap.
Dude, he's so good.
Like, he's gonna end up
All right,
like that.
I gotta go, guys.
Oh,
But
one quote.
no,
from
I'm out of here, dude. I'm out of
raps
here.
and says, "More guns, more violence." He says that in a rap. That's so true. There isn't much more around it because he doesn't talk a lot, but still.
So that's how you make a hit. You just have one like sage
He
sentence,
says some
and
real
then
shit, and then just the rest is all you
Yeah.
know.
yeah, you're really selling me on this. All right,
So
dude.
good. I love it.
I'm out of here, guys. Peace out, friends.
Cheers.
Oh, first I need to bounce out of the stream. I was just gonna leave my stream on. Just latest Twitch folk, appreciate ya. Latest Facebook folk, appreciate ya. And then latest